Hello, hello. Welcome back to 21 Soul. We are here in the Ropeadope Room in East Philadelphia with a special guest, Tosin Aribisala.
Yeah.
Did I say that
okay?
You
said it right. Yeah.
So I want to know everything.
Mm-hmm.
So you're here with us. You brought this beautiful record to Ropeadope last year, Africa Rising.
Yeah.
And I think I asked you at the time, but I want to hear it again.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me your path. You were born in
Nigeria.
Okay.
I was born in Ibadan, which is the biggest city in West Africa.
Okay.
So, and the city has a lot of music, a lot of drumming, a lot of tribal drumming.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's where the seat of the king of Yoruba is. And so definitely there's going to be a lot of drumming because you
Explain
have to
the king of
Yoruba people.
Yoruba people.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with that, there has to be a lot of drumming because, you know, we welcome the king with drumming. It's festivity whenever he's going out in town or whenever people go to the palace to greet the king and all that. Mm-hmm. And when he wants to send message to the people, he sends drummers out to the village square, town square, and they send out a message through the drums. Yeah. So, and that's why we call the drum the talking drum.
The talking drum.
Yeah, because you can say something, do or something like that, and people can understand what you're talking about.
People, that's a message.
Yeah, it's a message.
I had no idea. And I count myself semi-informed. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's a message. So I grew up with that, seeing a lot of drummers around. I've seen a lot of traditional naming ceremonies whereby people form like a drum circle, and they have palm wine in the center, and they just play and they just welcome the newborn into the world.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so I saw that people make music with bottles and spoon, with anything they can lay their hands on, and just create music rhythms naturally. Like, you know, seeing all of that growing up is like initiation into the art of music firsthand, and then church influence. And the church...
What's the church setting?
Well, while I was growing up, you know, unlike what we have now, mega churches, big churches were really small settings, not a lot of musical instruments, or let me put it this way, not a lot of Western music instruments, mainly traditional drums.
Okay.
No drum set.
Right.
No
kit.
Yeah.
No
handmade drums. No guitar. A few churches had guitars. A few churches had organs.
The keys, yeah.
Yeah, keyboard, and a few churches even had microphones to sing.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was all live, organic, and
Beautiful.
as raw as it can be.
Beautiful.
So we had all of that going on.
And I'm sensing it's celebratory.
Yeah.
Like it's not real solemn.
Not solemn like church.
Vibrant.
Very vibrant. Very vibrant. It's not like the hymnals where you sing the hymns and you have the harmonies. And so, no, it wasn't like that.
Was there a moment when you were in a church and you just went, I want to do this?
Yeah. Now, I'll tell you a very funny story. You see, I have this shaker, the traditional shaker, that I bought it in 2001, January 2001, in Lagos, Nigeria, and I still have it with me. I've kept it over the years of my travels around and even relocating from one place to the other, and I never lost it. But funny story is this. When I was young, maybe 4 years old, 3 years old, my mom and I went to the church. She took the kids to the church. My dad wasn't around at the time. He was on business travel. So the choir was having practice or something. So I went into their midst and I started playing the shekere. And I threw it up, caught it again, and then started playing. Then they sprayed me a lot of money. You see, it's an African culture whereby when an artist is performing or an entertainer is out there entertaining the people, we show appreciation not just by clapping their hands. We go and just spray money on them.
Money.
Yeah, give them money.
Unlike some other cultures in the world.
Yeah. So I've been to Senegal, I've been to Mali, I've been around among Cameroonians. They do the same thing. They just give money. They put it in your hand or they put it on your head. So I made a lot of money that night. So I thought to myself, I can make... But I was too young to even really think about money then. I just felt happy that, whoa, they appreciated what I was doing. So I said, okay. And, as a kid, you don't really think about pursuing anything. You just keep doing it just for the fun of it. Like, okay, yeah, they love me. They gave me money. Maybe I'll do it again. Maybe I'll go and play with my friends instead. Yeah, and then I got into, from kindergarten to elementary to primary school.
Oh, you were that young?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, and then I got into primary school, and in my primary school, we had a choir. And then I got into secondary school. In my secondary school, we had a choir as well. Okay. But the choir only did traditional songs, folk songs with traditional hand drums.
Okay.
That was all we had. We didn't have piano, nothing like that. So I was always playing that with the choir.
Okay.
And still no drum set. And eventually, I picked up the drum set. There was a school, a teacher training college next to my high school. They had a very good music department. They had upright piano, grand piano, premier drum sets from England. And when I went there with a friend of mine, we were like, this is paradise. This is heaven. So it was like an eye-opening experience, like an epiphany. Like, okay, I'm getting into a new phase of my music. Yeah. This and they had a bigger choir than the one in my high school. They sang better than us. They had everything. It's like, wow. And then they had a musical concert one time. They hired professional musicians. They had guitar players, bass player, and everything. So it was full. It was like, okay, this sounds like real music that we hear on the radio.
Nice. So I wanted to get to that. So what, during this time, are you listening to recording music through all your formative years?
Yes, I was, because that
radio, vinyl.
Radio, vinyl, because that had been part of our musical culture at the time. And my dad was a big collector of music. So collecting music from different parts of the world, from Congo, from South Africa, from Cuba, different things, and he would tell me where they came from. And I'm like, oh, because growing up, you didn't know anything other than your immediate environment.
Sure.
As a kid, I didn't care about world culture or anything.
It's still true for some adults.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Yeah. So, so I didn't know anything about the outside culture except for what I saw around me. And when I saw the album, read the liner notes that, recorded in London, mixed in LA, or recorded in Lagos, Nigeria, mixed in Paris, or some artist from Congo, or something. So it opened my mind to a global way of seeing music, that this is beyond my local setting.
In a way, the music is the recorded music is communicating in the same way the drums were.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're getting information.
Getting information from that.
This music and,
the way,
the packaging.
And the packaging, the way it's mixed, the way things sounded in another environment, and how it sounds in your own environment. So putting all of that together, so that opened my ears, basically. Opened my ears to jazz. There was a radio show in Lagos at a point. Every Sunday evening, it was I Life Music and then jazz later in the night. And then 4 p.m., I think it was 4 p.m. on Sundays. Every Sunday, they play music of James Brown and some other funk music. So I was getting all of that. I was like, wow, this is good. This is different from I Life Music or or Fuji music that we know in Nigeria. So that put my ears further into.
I want to ask about that. So like when we, as Americans, we're I mean, I guess I'm speaking for myself, but for many of my friends and, people I grew up with. So we hear 4/4.
Yeah.
All the time,
Yeah.
So when we hear African music, it sounds exceedingly complex. African rhythms. How is it the other way around when you grew up with complicated rhythms and then heard James Brown, just like bump, 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 right?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. African rhythms are very complex. Complex time, complex, polar rhythms, different rhythms happening at the same time. Because, like I said, when I was growing up, the talking drum, the bata drum, all like the drum ensemble, they play together. They go from one spot to the other where there's an event, they go together, they just walk around all over the place and just play for people.
Yeah.
Randomly, spontaneously, and they give them money. They go to parties, weddings, and they just start playing. All of them playing together, and they play. It can be like 8 or 10 of them, and they all play different rhythms. So your ears get used to that. So by the time you hear a simple 4/4 like something like that,
does it feel like something's missing?
It feels like something is missing. Like, okay, this is just very basic. It's sort of linear. Everything is just parallel. You can easily count it. Right. Unlike hearing 10 drummers playing different things at the same time, all of them happening at the same time. And so, and the body movement is different from when you hear a straight funk beat. You can nod your head this way, but when you hear the polyrhythms, your entire body moves along with it.
Much more,
yeah. So that's where all the dance come from, like Skelehu from Ghana, all the even in Nigeria. So people don't just stand straight up dancing, nodding their head. Their entire body reacts to the rhythm.
Did you wonder whether Americans could count past 4?
See, there was
no 5 in America.
No 5 until
no 6s, no 9s.
No, until we heard Take 5. Yeah, and we were like, wait a minute, what is that? 5. Yeah, that's sometimes when we're listening to music, my dad would be like, wait a minute, I think there's an additional beat there. It's not 4/4, it's not 6/8. What is that?
There you go.
Yeah.
So let's move forward to. I mean, at some point, you've got this rich cultural information. You're playing some music.
Yeah.
How did you get to here to the United States? And did you come deliberately to perform music?
Yes. Now, here's my story about coming to the United States. I worked with Femi Kuti for some time. Yeah, I played with him for 2.5 years. And at the point, I got tired of that phase of my musical life, and then I decided to come to the U.S. So I came to the U.S. in 2001 and wanted to pursue my music further. Like, I just don't want to sit down and play this African music or Nigerian music. It's still going to be part of me, but because I've always listened to jazz. You know, when you're young, you have some restlessness in you. That, what else is out there? Yeah, I'm familiar with this culture, but let me go see what else is out there. You know, the exoticness of world cultures. And I've been listening to Herbie Hancock. I collected a lot of jazz albums. And I said, it would be nice to go out there and play this kind of music and work with some of these guys out there and even write like this. I had that vision. So that was why I took music theory classes. My father registered me in a music school one time as a guitar student.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was taking guitar lessons. That helped me to understand.
In the U.S.?
No, in Nigeria.
In Nigeria. Okay.
In Nigeria. So that helped me with my idea of chords, putting chords together, melodies and all that. So, and then bass and a little bit of piano. But here, I studied theory more.
Okay.
Yeah. So that helps me to put things into perspective, to be able to arrange and write charts for horn players and everybody and say. So it helps my rehearsals to be very quick. Instead of saying, okay, play this, la, 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 la. No, I just write everything out. So, okay, if you can read, just play that.
And so in what part of the U.S. was that when you came in?
In D.C.
In D.C.?
D.C., yeah. D.C., Maryland. I was, the tri-state, DMV, D.C., Virginia, Maryland. I was just moving around those 3 cities and playing music and then coming back and forth to New York every now and then until I finally moved to New York in January this year. So, yeah.
New York is amazing.
Very, very amazing. Yeah.
But you're also now headed west.
Yeah. So east to west. Yeah.
And maybe bi-coastal. I think that's a good plan.
Yeah, it is.
New York and L.A. And L.A. is finally, or maybe again, being recognized as a community that supports and puts out some vibrant jazz and different styles.
Yeah.
I think the music business in LA got overshadowed by the television and film.
And
business in a big
film,
way.
yeah.
Although there's some great stuff. Do you ever see that movie about the Wrecking Crew?
No.
You got to check that out.
Okay.
Yeah. The Wrecking Crew was basically the band. You know, I mean, there's a story. There's the Muscle Shoals band, right? There's the Motown band,
Yeah.
right? So the Wrecking Crew is the LA version of
Okay.
that. Some real key players. But now it seems that things are opening up and anything
Yeah.
goes. So
Yeah, because a lot of great artists and music are coming out of LA, of the West Coast nowadays, where we have guys like Kamasi Washington and
Spotsy, right?
Spotsy, right? And Robert Gaspar,
Yeah.
those guys, yeah. So
Cool. I think that there's that you could bring a pretty. I'm really interested to hear what you do out there.
Yeah.
Because while I dig a lot of the LA scene, it's either to me somewhat traditional jazz influenced and hip hop influenced.
Yeah.
Right. So now you bring that
the
what
African
people call world
world
music,
music, Afrobeat, and all that.
Afrobeat
Yeah.
into that, and some pretty explosive things could happen. I'm
Yeah,
excited
and
about
it hasn't really been explored well enough in LA, in the West Coast. In the East Coast, you know, we have Antibalas, Kaleta, who else, and a few others who've been exploring that kind of music.
Yeah, we did. You know, Antibalas is probably one of the first 10 or 15 records on Ropeadope, but then Underground System is up there, and we had a Joyo. Do you know that record? I'll give you one of those.
Okay.
Yeah, Joyo's cool. Interesting. And that comes through Paris. Yacine Boularis is was raised in Paris, but so the connection between I got to meet. Just to digress for a quick second, with not much time left, but I got to meet a gentleman by the name of Martin. Sorry, my French. Messonnier.
Okay.
Who was Fela's first manager.
Okay.
At a very young age, and so I got to understand. He invited me out to his studio in Paris, and had been around Paris a little bit in my first trip there, but then I got on a different metro line.
Okay.
And headed to this, I don't know which arrondissement, but a southeast, and it's just African people moving, people that couldn't speak to each other. From different countries, and it was a completely different experience for me, and pretty unique in that for me, growing up here in the United States, we really don't see African culture, current African culture. You know, it's African American, and the ridiculous history and horrible history that goes with that. But it was really eye opening for me to see the diversity within that. And
that's what's happening in Harlem now.
Yes.
Yeah. If you go to some parts of Harlem, like 135th, Lexington, like where the Shrine is, there's a club there called the Shrine. There's Savannah.
Legendary.
Yeah. So you see a lot of Senegalese and guys from Ivory Coast, Malians.
Beautiful.
They have stores there. They sell food. They have restaurants. So it's a very nice community.
We're gonna have to take this show on the road. You mentioned being restless when you're young.
Yeah,
I must be young because I'm still restless.
I'm still restless too. Yeah,
and see some of these things.
Yeah.
So I want to remind everybody that the last project, the most recent project from Tosin Aribisala is Africa Rising, and you can find it everywhere. Thank you so much for bringing this beautiful music to us.
You're welcome.
Opened my eyes. I found an interesting blend of jazz and African music here that and it's in heavy rotation for me. I play it often.
Cool.
So. I want to wish you the best.
Thank you.
In Los Angeles, and I know we're going to be in touch.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to say about the music that you want to people as we wrap?
I just want to let people understand that Africa Rising, because a lot of people ask me, so what's the concept behind Africa Rising? Tell us the story about Africa Rising. And I see Africa Rising as part of the globalization culture that's going on around the world now. You know, see young people in Nigeria, in Cotonou. I was in Benin and in Nigeria this year. And against all odds, against all socioeconomic limitations or whatever that may be, they still try to do something. They try to be inventive, technologically, artistically. They write, they do so many things, and in fashion, in academics, so many things.
I've even seen people like building and rebuilding cell phones, like on
Yeah.
the street.
Yes.
Like young
Yeah.
kids with no training or
At all. They just
study.
pick up the phone.
They take this stuff apart and reassemble it.
Reassemble it.
Sorry.
Same thing with laptop.
Yeah.
Same thing with, I took some dented cymbals
Yeah.
to Lagos. 'Cause I was going to give them away because I had a bunch of cymbals that had been dented. And I looked for companies there that can help me reshape them and all that. I couldn't find. I found one in London. And I was too reluctant to send them to London and back. That would cost more money. So I took them to Nigeria. I was about to give them away. And the guy said, you know what, I know somebody who can do this. And he wasn't an old person.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you see old people doing stuff like that.
Right.
You know, like welding, like... So it was a young guy.
Lost craft.
Yeah. It was a young guy in his 20s. He said, give them to me. I'll fix them and you have them ready by tomorrow. I said, really? And I paid him. Everything was ready, sounding way better. He rehammered some of the cymbals to make them sound like effect cymbals. The type you see with Sabian, with Zildjian.
Wow.
I said, wow, look at that. So definitely this represents what I'm seeing happening over there, Africa Rising.
That's
against all
beautiful.
odds. Yeah. So
Creativity, growth. So that's so hopeful.
yeah.
And I think it's
Quite
a time
hopeful.
when we need those kind of stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's coming. Man, thank you so much.
You're
Appreciate
welcome. Yeah.
it. Tosin Aribisala, Africa Rising, checking in the credits. 21 Soul from the Ropeadope Room.